All right. I think we're live. Hi. Good afternoon. How's it going, Steven?
Hello.
We just came back from running around town. So today is Sunday. This is technically day 3 of our active development of the water formula. And today we are supposed to be doing a couple more tests with Japanese waters, but we couldn't find Japanese waters in addition to the ones we already had here in Vegas. So today I think that we need to pivot to using the water formulas that we have already, that we've picked up using mineral profiles I've looked up of Japanese waters, to recreate what we would experience if we had the actual waters. So I am kind of bummed out that we went to 5 or 6 different stores and basically freaked out all the grocery people running around with their empty basket. Um, but Las Vegas taking an L today, in terms of
That's right on the mic.
oh yeah, the lights are coming on. Las Vegas taking an L today in terms of our water selection. I always say that Vegas and LA are pretty similar, but this is where Las Vegas kind of didn't deliver as well. So, the waters we had were from LA. We don't have those in Vegas. I need to figure out if I can. I'm literally searching on Reddit, will someone come to Vegas and bring me some water from Uwajimaya or Nijiya Market in LA? So we'll figure it out. But still, we'll still be able to do some tests with the waters we do have, and then some waters that, again, we have on our water calculator. So if you're part of our water course, this should look familiar to you. This is basically our little kind of growing archive of mineral profiles we've collected, of real waters based on what the official kind of local government reading is. And then we can copy those profiles using our own kind of mineral salts to approximate them and kind of get there. So order of business today, we're going to test some of our pre-existing Japanese waters some more. There's that Kiroshima Water that I want to be able to get to know more. We'll probably test using the Icelandic, maybe one of the American waters, and then we will recreate a couple mineral profiles from Japan that you can help me pick. Yeah, I have 9 here. We have some Kagoshima ones, Foothills and Mountain. We have Kiyomizu Temples mineral profile from Kyoto. We have Kyoto tap water. We have another famous well water from Kyoto, Nashinoki Shrine. And then going to another area, we have Uji waters. We have one from Uji Tawara. We have one from Wazuga. We have a Kyoto Nabe one, so there's 3 Uji waters. And then we have a Yame one. So, yeah, we gotta figure out what we're doing. Hope you guys are doing well, though. Yeah, we got some onigiri. It's pretty okay. So how are you guys doing? Nice to see you, Gabby, Nina, Peter, Displaced LA Brat, Terry. Nice to see you, Joni, Nick. Potato, welcome to the stream today. Yeah, the stream without actual new Japanese water. Man. We asked around too, and people are like, oh, are you looking for Pocari Sweat or Aquarius? I'm like, no. Do you have Suntory Tendon Sway? They're like, no, I don't think so. So yeah, we'll have to make do. So some updates. Yesterday we were up late, kind of working on this stuff. I was working so hard on the reflections from yesterday's test we did together, and then my Squarespace, which is where I write my blog posts, it crashed. So I lost 1 day of notes. I need to type it back up again today. But in the process of doing that, we actually found out that there's this water that we were testing out yesterday isn't actually Southern Alps or Minami Alps. This is actually Northern Alps. So an important kind of change there. Yeah, so this is Southern Alps water from Hida, not from the Minami Alps. So it's alpine water, but not that same location. Still an exciting water though, because this is another water that has come up for Japanese tea brewing. It's a really nice water. So what I'm looking for is that Suntory Minami Alps, which I think I saw in LA, but we would have to go there or ask someone to get it for us. So that's an update. Yeah, I'm a little bummed about it, not gonna lie. But we'll still test some waters out. We'll probably get to test that Icelandic water today as a result, and then those Japanese waters. So how about we do that? Let's pick the Japanese waters we want to test today. Steven, do you think it's a good idea for us to type it into chat so that they can see, kind of pick and choose which ones we're doing? I can log into Kiroshima Water from my account and type it out. I think I can do that, right? How are you guys doing today? Let me know if you've had any tea. Steve and I have clearly not had tea yet. We're all like grumpy. But that's okay. So let me pop onto Kiroshima Water. Well, that's me. That's creepy. So we have Kirishima Foothills. This is insane. Kirishima Mountain. That's from Kagoshima. And then we got from Kyoto, Kiyomizu Temple, and Kyoto Tap, and Nashinoki Shrine, Somewell. I'm actually just typing it out so you guys can pick. And then we got from Ujitawara, we got Kyotanabe, which interestingly, I didn't know this before I started looking into this stuff, but Uji, a lot of the like old school kind of like Uji areas are within like a city, so their tap water is actually quite heavy. And the only one from Uji that has a relatively light profile that I know of is actually Wazuka's water. Uji. And then we got Yabemura, Yabe village from Yame. So that's what we got to pick from for us to be able to recreate today. That we will probably recreate a bunch of these, but since we're on live today, we can put together. Cool. So first order of action, let's get some tea in. Yesterday we did not get that Kirishima water tested with the dense shinsha, so I want to do that today, just in case. We actually liked the alpine water better with that oolong from day one, which is why we kind of went all in on using it yesterday. But I still want to see if this Kagoshima water is going to be good for the tea that we have. It's just important not to kind of like overlook, just in case it didn't do well with the oolong, it still could work really, really well with the shinsha. And then tomorrow we'll be getting a load of shinsha from Yunomi, so we'll have some new shinsha to test. And then on Tuesday, I have to make, this is crazy, Tuesday we already have to have prototypes ready for Leo to test at Tea and Whisk. So we have invited a couple of our friends from Vegas who have helped us with water recipe development before to come on Tuesday. So 48 hours from now, not too long ago, not too far from here, we have to be ready with those waters to test for people. So yeah. Hope you guys are okay. Thank you for letting me catch up with chat. Nick, which label are you looking at? This one or this one? This is the what I now know to be from Hida in northern Japan. Yeah, and then this one is Kirishima Water. Shibushi no Oishi is what this one is called. So we'll test this one out because yesterday we didn't get to drink it with shinsha. And then at the same time, we'll take the opportunity to test out the Icelandic water too, Steven. Yeah. Is there another one we want to test maybe? Yeah, the Icelandic. Let me go grab the, I actually have my lower body today. This is so heavy. Waters. Okay, let's check it out. So we got Tahoe water. How's Tahoe water doing?
That should be ice melt.
The TDS is really high on this baby though. It's like 100 milligrams. So we'll do the Icelandic water together, just to test together with the Kagoshima water, just as a way to compare it. Sounds good. And then I am interested in trying out Tea Curious Autumn at. This is water. Water's heavy. We'll try the I don't know. I'm a little like thrown off by the fact we didn't find our waters today from the grocery store. Let's see. Should we do Icelandic versus the Kagoshima water versus, should we just go with one of the Japanese waters and like recreate it, Steven?
Sure.
Just go straight to it, or should we try to use autumn in there? Nah, let's recreate a water right now. Yeah, okay. So, any picks as to which one you guys would like to test out? From the range of waters that I've put down. These are mineral profiles that we have already that then we can recreate using our mineral salts here in the office. So take your pick. If not, I'm gonna pick one. So yeah, same thing as yesterday. Let's set up our tea. Yeah, I'm a little tired. I'm realizing I don't have the waters I wanted to test today. But hopefully we'll get something done today since we can't kind of like stop. We would have had to do this day anyway, recreating the waters from our calculator. So we'll just kind of push it forward. And if anyone knows anyone from LA who's coming up this week for like Memorial Day weekend, maybe let them know if they want to drop by Nijiya and do a water run for your water tea friends. Yeah. Okay. So just weighing out some waters. Again, we're going to use the dense Hashiri Shincha. This is a Yabukita Shincha from Tawarazawa. This is from dense here in the United States. So if you are US based and you want a Shincha like ASAP, they'll get it to you really quickly. So 2.5 grams in our bowls, and we'll test out the this still has water in it, Steven. I can't use this bowl. Sorry, T. Can I have a towel, Steven, so I can dry these off? Okay, tea potato, Wazuka. We'll do Wazuka water, Steven. I think Caitlin might like that too. And also Anna from Mindful Teas. I've heard Wazuka water is just beautiful, so I think that would be a good pick for us to go try out the test today.
So these two, and
so those two and Wazuka water. So we'll show you what we do when we kind of like recreate a water from scratch, sort of. After I kind of like wipe these babies out so I can put the tea in them. Sounds good, Steven? Mm-hmm. So Wazuka water is extremely light. Wazuka is one of the kind of like micro regions of the Uji area. Or like, right? I forgot. I'm like blanking out. Like that area. So yeah, Uji. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I'm blanking out on that. So it's one of the regions that is considered to be kind of like Ujicha, but yeah, a couple really famous kind of like tea people from there. Obubu Tea Farms is from Wazuka. The Global Japanese Tea Folks broadcast from Wazuka sometimes. So it's not like you won't hear the word Wazuka as often as like say Uji, but it is like a very significant tea producing area. So we'll copy that mineral profile. It's quite a low mineral profile. So what we have here, just to show you what we're doing, is when we worked on our water course, we built this calculator where I have a list of tea regions that I kind of looked up what their local officials were able to measure from their waters. And then from there, I took that mineral breakdown, calcium, sodium, magnesium, bicarbonate, sulfate, chloride, so as much as I could of the mineral content. So we have those numbers here. You can't really see it that well, but we have those numbers here. Then over here, I did calculations to show us how much of the food grade salts that we have here in Vegas, that even you might have if you have food grade salts of your own, can put into a blank water to kind of recreate that profile at home. So for example, we have Japan, so country Japan, region, Wazuka and Uji, amounts of water, 1,000 ml. We can kind of put that, lower that amount. We don't need 1,000 ml, right? Oh,
I'm
probably.
gonna make it 1 liter.
You have to make it 1 liter. It's super light. So it has to be 1 liter because otherwise it's gonna be such little salt. So Uji's water is 2.8 ppm of calcium, 0.7 magnesium, no potassium, 3.4 sodium, 9.0 bicarbonate, 2.9 sulfate, 5.0 chloride, and 8 parts per million silica. We're leaving out the silica from this water recipe just because if you've talked to me before about silica, Silica is very difficult to kind of get dissolved into like a water formula like this. So we're actually working on ways to figure out how to integrate that silica portion into the water recipe.
So
But
how much do I need to add?
yeah, let's figure it out. So calcium. Oh no, sorry. The actual minerals. It's gonna be 0.008 grams of calcium chloride.
You have the scale? Oh,
The
okay.
scale? Yeah,
I got it.
yeah. Okay, so give us a second. We're gonna like
Make the water right.
a little slow. We're gonna actually make the water. You wanna do it over here, Steven, so our
Yeah,
friends can see,
that's
or
okay.
you want to just do it over there? Okay, no problem.
Magnesium first.
Magnesium sulfate is 0.007 grams.
And so.
You'll have to like entertain me for a moment before I can entertain you with what we're doing. I wish I could have tea right now, Steven. It'd be great. You know, welcome to the stream today. We're just making our water off screen. Steven's kind of like weighing out the salts. You sure you can't show us, Steven? It's probably like a mess to put over here, huh? I'll like show you on stories what it looks like to kind of
So
like
it's-
drop it in.
This much magnesium.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
0.007.
Just show them the water bottle, Steven, if you don't mind. Well, we just formulated on camera. We did that so many times in water recipe. Okay. So we got our magnesium. That's done. This is the base is RO water.
Calcium.
Calcium is 0.008 grams. This is the part that's more tedious. This is the part that you pay us for when we do Kiroshima Water like recipes. Because you could do this at home. This is the open source recipe, basically. We're showing you how to do stuff at home, but it is so tedious. Especially on a hot day like this. So that's
This much calcium.
0.008 grams calcium chloride. So these are food grade salts, by the way. The links are on our site for the ones we actually use. And what we're doing is, again, we're copying what the mineral profile is of Wazuka water. Because when the water in Wazuka goes through the landscape, it's picking up minerals from the local rocks and local mountains and local sand. And whatever that end mineral profile is, we can kind of approximate using our salts. So the next one is sodium bicarbonate. These are all common, like, food grade salts.
Okay.
0.012 grams.
A lot more.
Yeah. So interestingly, Japan has very, very low hardness and slightly higher than you would think. Oh, it's pretty balanced, but they have a fair amount of bicarbonate, but very low hardness waters. It's really interesting.
0.0 what?
0.012 grams of sodium bicarbonate. And that's it, actually, Stephen.
Okay.
Yeah.
No potassium.
No potassium. No potassium. Interesting. So no potassium bicarbonate. And then if you want to put the standard amount of silica, Steven, you want to do that? Okay. All right. So if you want a link to this is something that we're working on, this open source kind of calculator. My dream is for it to be populated with like hundreds of data points of waters. Right now we have 9 Japanese waters. We have an India water. That's a Darjeeling one. We have, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Chinese waters. I would love some help getting a Yunnan water here. I can't find information on Yunnan water. Also Chaozu water. I'd love to get some info on too, where Phoenix Mountain, the Phoenix oolongs are made. I have a Nepalese water, and then I have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Taiwanese waters. So in theory, let's say you're drinking a tea from Hsinchu, like an Oriental Beauty, Eastern Beauty, a Taiwanese oolong, right? That oolong is from Hsinchu. You can look at the mineral content of the water from Hsinchu, at least one of them, because there's so many springs in Hsinchu, right? So I just took one data point from a study in Taiwan that showed a Hsinchu water. But you can take the mineral kind of like profile of that Hsinchu water and recreate it at home this way. So we're working on like publicizing this. I'm just not sure if my math is like 100% correct on everything, but it's been good enough. We've actually made Japanese water before. I think we've made this Wazuka water before, and it's quite delicious. So, thank you. Get some soul. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Dino, are the minerals hard to find? No, the minerals are very easy to find, especially honestly it's a little easier in America. I've had to like help some of our Europe students find the minerals, but they're very common food grade salts. Calcium chloride is used for like jarring and pickling. Sodium bicarbonate is just baking soda. Is that right, Steven? I don't even know what you call it anymore. Because,
Sodium bicarbonate?
yeah,
Is
baking soda, yeah. Magnesium sulfate is Epsom salt. Just don't get it scented, and then you kind of have the three salts we're using in this water.
What temperature?
And then we'll use 85 degrees Celsius to start brewing this tea. So yeah, that's what that is. And then we will also work on being able to use, let's say if you buy our mineral waters, our mineral concentrate, I'm going to make the calculator work so that you can use a specific amount of your droppers to make that water, if that makes sense.
What's the fourth one?
Fourth one?
Yeah, 4 moles.
Oh, I haven't even weighed it out yet. So it's just
What's
gonna be.
the fourth one?
Should we make 4 waters?
Yeah, 4 moles. That's what I meant.
I don't think we need to make 4. You want to make another? We can make another water.
No, it's okay.
You're good? Okay. We can, Steven.
Well, I just thought you were doing 3 waters.
We're gonna do the Icelandic, the Kagoshima, then we'll do the Wazuka. That's enough, I think. All right. So we'll do 3 tea sessions. We're going to do the same round as yesterday, 2.5 grams of the shincha, and the same bowls. So yesterday we found that not Minami Alps now, it's the Northern Alps. The Hida Alps water from Japan was amazing for that specific shincha, this Chashiri shincha. So a couple of things we need to do is when those new shinchas come in tomorrow, we have to save the last bits of our water to make sure it tastes good with those shinchas also. And then we will recreate that water that we like so much already so that we can use more of it, test more of it, so to say. So yeah, thanks for dealing with like change in programming today. Yeah, if you can't tell, I'm a little bit like, I wanted to test those waters out. But it's okay. Thanks for kind of moving with us through whatever is coming through. It's fun though. I mean, whenever we run into like obstacles like this, it just makes me want to like make the water better. Okay. How are you guys doing today in general? Just besides water. Pretty happy we're doing water stuff. I can't believe it's only going to be less than a week until we finish this. So far, no one has guessed the new name of this water. So if you'd like to keep guessing, feel free. We will be sending whoever guesses the water name one of the first bottles that we make of this new formula. So we will see. And then maybe ask some of the Vegas folks when they come to the tasting on Tuesday. We're doing our prototype testing with Leo from TNWESC on Tuesday. So we will be live on that day for a while. And then we will test. Leo's kind of like he knows the market really, really well. He works with people one-on-one, both like experienced kind of nerdy tea people and people who kind of come in as like tourists who then become tea drinkers. So, and I want this water to be pretty friendly for a wide market while still being like not cutting corners. So I think it's gonna be a really good test we run into on Tuesday. But maybe I'm gonna slip on the name, which I almost did yesterday on stream. I almost told you what the name was gonna be. Maybe ask the Vegas folks who will be there. I might actually mention it to them. So we'll see. All right. So we got our 3 shincha going. Our agenda then, without the waters we intended to test today, what are we going to figure out today, Stephen? We will see if the Kagoshima water is up to par compared to the Alps water. We will see if the Icelandic Alpha spring water is going to be standing up as well. And then the Wazuka water also. Thank you. The potato, it's raining, so great. I'm going to like hear out the guesses for the names, but I'm not gonna confirm or deny. Because if I tell you if it's wrong or not, okay, this is not the right. Yeah, it's not sparkling. I might as well just say it. People hitting close though, that's for sure. Which water did you use to brew this? Is this from yesterday? Or from today?
I just made it before I poured out what
Got it.
was.
It tastes a little oxidized. Was it sitting in the teapot for a little bit? Overnight, yeah. Okay. You can taste that it's oxidized. Nina says sunny here in Seattle. Oh, how nice. That's rare for you guys, huh? Oh man, we're like dreaming about going to Seattle. You know, I didn't know you're based in Seattle. We made so many jokes about people in the Pacific Northwest not needing to do water stuff, but actually, I actually would like Pacific Northwest people to like play a little bit more with water. You guys have such amazing water up there that, yes, it is amazing for tea, and you could really live your whole tea life not worrying about it. But at the same time, it's interesting to see what water from other places does for tea, which, you know, you've been other places, I'm sure, and, you know, seen what the water is like there. Because in Seattle, like, your tea is amazing for most teas, but then if you then come to Vegas, you might be surprised by how, not you specifically, but someone who's never had a harder water for their tea, might be surprised by how rich and chocolatey and sweet a black tea can be. So just tools. So figuring that out, seeing if I can get our Pacific Northwest people to actually play more with their water when they already have great water. All right, so first water up, Steven? Almost.
Formulated water. Yeah.
Formulated water. So our formulated Wazuka water. So is this the same water as what you would find in Wazuka? It's not exactly the same. There are some differences. So what we do is we can't get the exact same mineral breakdown, but we emphasize what the most important minerals are to match. And for me, that's calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonate. Calcium and magnesium being the hardness minerals, and bicarbonate being the alkalinity mineral. So this is why there are 2 bottles of Kiroshima water. If you combine the minerals together, well, number one, they're both really important components, right? But if you combine them together, they cause the scale that builds up in a kettle. So they're important, but you have to handle them in the correct way.
Just 1 second.
Yeah. So we target magnesium, calcium, and bicarbonate, make sure that those are taken care of. And then if we can, we will match the amount of sodium in the water, which I think is like the secondary most important kind of like level for the minerals. And then after that, the last order of importance for me are the sulfate and chloride minerals. And the reason for that is that we've just, you know, done our research and done tests, and the calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonate have the most effect on the taste of a water. Differences in sulfate and chloride are not as detectable by the human palate as those other minerals. So there's going to be a difference for sure, and maybe there are things about the water we don't understand yet, like maybe like water chi is this thing, like cha chi, but water instead. Things like pH or carbon dioxide content, we can't really as much control with the water. But so far, when we've recreated a water and then compared it to the real natural bottled water, if we have a chance to side by side them, it's been pretty much on point. It's been hard for us to determine in a blind tasting if what we're tasting is the recreated water versus the actual water. So for me, that's pretty much close enough. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, so we've actually done this Wazuka water before, I think, Stephen? If not the Kyoto water. I think we have. It's very good the last time we tried it. I don't think I tried it with the green tea. Or we could have. No, we did. Yeah, we actually copied these mineral waters during last year's Global Japanese Tea Marathon. So as we were working through like the different areas of Japan, if we weren't lazy that day, we would recreate the water from that area. So that was really cool. Oh man. All right. Wazuka water. Excited. Okay, let's try it out. It's a little cloudy. I'm surprised. Interesting. Okay, we'll see. Okay, interesting. My first impression is not that it's like amazing, but it does have a very pure kind of like clean, clear, and very umami quality to it. It is very umami. Wow, it is really umami to try it. Really umami. I don't like the rest of it, to be honest, but I really like the umami current underneath.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm actually trying to capture that with this water. Like umami, almost like almost salty, you know, is what I'm kind of testing to see if we can capture with this new water recipe. So that's the Wazuka water.
That's this one.
This next one is going to be the Kagoshima Kirishima water. So this water is very interesting. Again, Kirishima is an area in Kagoshima Prefecture, which Kagoshima is one of the biggest manufacturers of tea in Japan. And Kirishima itself is an area where tea is grown. So the whole concept of tea from the place is going to be best brewed with the water from the same area. If only I had a Kirishima tea. I'm kind of tempted to get one. There are some shinchas I've seen online that are from Kirishima that are available here in the US that we could get pretty quickly. So if anyone has a... Hey, anyone on stream has a Kirishima shincha they'd like to trade out with me so I don't have like to get 100 grams of it, let me know. But this is the Kirishima water from the actual bottle. This one performed not as good on day one. We were surprised by how heavy it was. So the issue that we ran into with this water is it's a good water, but what was displayed on the bottle versus what we actually measured in the water was different. And that just shows that waters will like naturally kind of change over time. So that even if you think that you're buying a bottled water with a lower mineral content, because that season might just be naturally more dry, less water, meaning more minerals in like that reservoir, you're going to have a harder water. It's not going to be as consistent. So as much as I really, really love natural waters, and if I could pick, I would just live by a nice stream and collect water every day. That's why we really like the Kiros water kind of system, because it's very consistent. Your water doesn't really change from day to day. So if you're trying to make a tea come out a certain way, if you want a certain result from your tea, you're not going to be guessing or caught off guard when, let's say, your water is different that day. You're not going to be surprised. Okay, so this next one is a Kiroshima water. Ooh, that's good. Okay, it's better than the Wazuka water for some reason. Let's see. So this is a lot heavier than the Wazuka water. The label says this is supposed to be around 38 TDS. TDS meaning the number of minerals dissolved in the liter. But this specific batch is actually around 80 TDS. It's heavier than we would expect. See, this is nice, but it's a little bit too mellow. Steven, try it. There's a nice mineral quality going on with it though. So I kind of wonder if this tea might be good with like a... That's really hot, so just go drink it. I almost want to try this water with like a milk oolong or a Kanaya Midori sencha. Kanaya Midori is a cultivar of sencha that's got like a more milky aroma to it. And the texture of this water is really nice and kind of creamy, silky, a little bit like lightly floral, but not too like bouquet-like, not perfumey, just a very delicate, really, really nice, nuanced floral, which I think might be good with Kanaya Midori, but not, I don't think it works well with this tea. So maybe for like a creamier sencha. So this last one here is that Icelandic glacial water. This is from, so I looked up what the Icelandic glacial water is. It's not water from a glacier, because like you can get meltwater directly from a melting glacier. Very expensive. This is a spring that is underneath a layer of volcanic rock in Iceland. So geology-wise, I find that these waters that are near areas with like volcanic activity, like Fiji or the New Zealand artesian water, just exposure to volcanic rock, tend to have a really, really compelling taste. So our old favorite before the Kiroshima Waters first was Fiji and then New Zealand artesian. And if you look at the way that those water sources are structured, they are kind of similar to this specific water. The water passes through some kind of like very heavy volcanic rock style stuff, and then it picks up just a specific ratio of minerals and silica that make it really, really, really nice. So I wonder if this water is gonna be good. Tikira's original was actually the very, very first inspiration through this process you've seen so far was inspired by Trader Joe's artesian water. Of course, we did a lot of tests to kind of like adjust what we wanted from it so that it's not really close to Trader Joe's artesian anymore, but some of the kind of like texture driven, aftertaste driven taste in these waters is what I really like, to be honest. Also, Dino's saying Icelandic has been your favorite lately. I'm interested to see what you think about Icelandic, Dino, before I say anything about this tea. Just since I have a chance to ask you. Same thing with you, tea potato. A different Icelandic water, Skyra, with Fuja. Is that Fujuan? Fujuan-cha? Interesting. That's very interesting. I like it a lot. But I won't say I don't want to say the specifics yet. Notice though that it is definitely the lightest water out of all of them. Yes, it is the one that's been brewing first. Or last, so that it hasn't had enough time yet, but it's just the clearest out of all of these. Relatively light water. Okay, you go, Stephen. Ooh, hot. So this Wazuka water, let's see how it is. Again. I don't think I'm happy with the Wazuka water with this Shinsha, to be honest. I do like the what it does to like the umami component of the tea though. So I wonder what that is. Maybe the lack of like potassium. It's just all like sodium carrying the bicarbonate. What I'm talking about is when we're developing a formula, you can choose the source of your bicarbonate. So stay with me. Bicarbonate in your water will affect the pH, right? And change the way that the polyphenols in the tea exist. It can degrade it. You have two choices of food grade salts you can use to add bicarbonate into your water. You can use sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, or potassium bicarbonate, which is another source of bicarbonates used for food, and less common than sodium bicarbonate. They will taste a tiny bit different because the human palate tastes sodium and potassium a little bit differently. So when we're working on these recipes, we have to make the choice. Do we decide to use a higher ratio of sodium bicarbonate versus potassium bicarbonate, therefore use more potassium? Or do we use more potassium bicarbonate versus sodium bicarbonate? And from what we've seen, sodium tends to indeed round out the flavors. It's like salt, sodium salt, right? So just as you would think, sodium rounds out the profile of a tea. It's not salty until you reach a certain point. Just think about food. If you're seasoning food, adding salt to the food will not make it salty until you reach a certain threshold. So there's this term called a detection threshold or a flavor threshold for the human palate of how much parts per million of a mineral you can add to a water or can exist in water until the human palate picks it up. So if you have like 1 part per million sodium or 2 parts per million sodium in a water, Our palettes don't seem to pick it up. So I've used like research studies to see what that area is, and then we've also tested out for ourselves. It's just too little. But if you have too much sodium, I think the range is like maybe 40 to 80. Don't quote me on the exact numbers. It's going to be somewhere in like the course that we did. But I think it's around 40 to 80. Somewhere within that range, the human palate starts to detect the water as being salty. So we try to keep the amount of sodium in our water formulas below that amount. On the flip side though, potassium bicarbonate is another source of bicarbonate you can use, but what's nice about potassium bicarbonate is that in theory, number one, the tea leaves already have a lot of potassium in them. Potassium is the most abundant one of those minerals in tea leaves. Like parts per million in tea leaves, I think it's around like 300 parts per million potassium. So it's already in there. So adding a tiny bit more potassium, in theory, shouldn't change the taste of the tea so much. And the human palate isn't as sensitive to the taste of potassium as it is to sodium. So if we use potassium bicarbonate, in theory, we could put the bicarbonate taste in the water without having as much of an effect on the flavor. So these are just things we have to like consider. These are things in theory that I know, but then it's also going to be different when we're actually testing these waters out in practice, if that makes sense. Hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions about that. So just trying to document what we're thinking about this stuff. And what this is telling me is that the Wazuka water, I'm not the biggest fan of what it's doing right now. I think what it is that there's quite a bit of calcium in it. Maybe is what it is. It's very high in the calcium compared to the other waters, Stephen. No. Yeah, well, in our own waters, we actually use less calcium. But maybe it's the fact that it's mostly sodium and not a potassium thing. I'm not sure. It's just whatever it is about this water. I'm more liking the kind of like mid-tones and not the up and down tones. So this is something I have to just really like dig in and see what is happening to this water that makes me not love it so much for tea. And then of course this is not the exact same Wazuka water. So let's say if there is a chance that one of the other minerals that are attached to the main minerals, sulfate and chloride, are out of balance, we need to account for that too. It's going to be a little too complicated for me to get into the deep end on the stream, but just so you know what we're thinking about while we're doing this. I love the mid-tone. The mid-tone is gorgeous on this. What is that? Why is it so good? I'm thinking... I don't know. Why is it so tasty? Did you put silica in this, Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Is that why?
Maybe.
Oh man. It's so like it's rich on the middle.
Is it umami?
It's really umami. My issue with it though, it's that it's a little drying on the end. Maybe just a little bit too light. This is very light water. It's 30 TDS basically. And the water we've liked so far is around 60 TDS, 70 TDS. Yeah. Here you go. And then back to the Icelandic water, which I asked you about to describe to us. I like it, but I think it's a little too soft for this tea. Well, it's good though. Okay, so the difference between what we liked yesterday, which is that Hida alpine water, and this specific tea is that, or this specific water, this is a little bit more kind of like crispy, more thin, more refreshing, more cool, but still like nice and rounded. I still do think that Icelandic is a fantastic water for green tea. If it's the only tea brewing water I have, I would be extremely happy to have it over like Crystal Geyser or like Arrowhead. But I honestly think that this flavor profile is just a tiny bit more suited to Chinese green teas rather than Japanese green teas. So I find that Chinese green teas have that kind of innate, more floral, nutty, almost like cashew nut, vanilla-ish sweet thing going on with them that matches a little bit better with the Icelandic. So I think with the Japanese water recipe we're developing right now, I want it to be just a tiny bit more kind of like savory, buttery, a little bit marine, not as floral. Because if you wanted your shinsha to taste floral, you could just use the original, to be honest, the original recipe that we have at 0.5 dose is going to be very kind of like crisp, clean, and floral. Kind of like this water. Icelandic is reading like Tikira's original, to be honest. Did you try it, Steven? It reads like Tikira's original, to be honest. Okay, then back to the Kirishima water. Remember that we're bowl brewing these too, so these teas are like really going to the gauntlet. Really, really extracting a lot of the flavors out. Then finally we have this Kiroshima water again. And again, it's pleasant. It's just not that compelling. I honestly think this is a better water suited for like oolong. Or like a Japanese oolong maybe. Or something like that. But this is now again where I want to see if a Kiroshima green tea might work better for this specific water. So something interesting about Kagoshima's teas is Kagoshima teas are a little bit more, we learned this from our friend Noli from Sugimoto, they tend to have a lot of shading used in their processing. Because Kagoshima is a relatively large tea producing area. The area is not as hilly. It's more easy to kind of like extend the tea producing kind of like field. So it's easier to shade the tea and therefore add value to the tea being grown there. And that sounds like a really kind of pragmatic approach to me to designing what tea you want to make. But if the water in Kagoshima is also more heavy, as it tends to be the more south you get, Kagoshima being more south compared to the other regions of Japan that produce tea, they would likely have heavier water that then will taste better with heavier teas, something like that. So just a back and forth that happens, a conversation between tea, water, tea making person, tea brewers that occurs that we need to kind of like consider. Makes me wonder, we have a Kagoshima sencha we can test out, the Saimidori. Do we still have some more of that, or are we totally out? Maybe one last test before we log off. If we can test one of our Kagoshima senchas, that'd be great. What are your guys' thoughts on your favorite origins of Japan, by the way? Kagoshima, Shizuoka, Uji, and Kyoto, Greater Kyoto area teas. I like the Kagoshima teas for sure. I actually have not done as much thorough, enthusiastic exploring of like Uji area and Kyoto area teas. I just haven't done it as much. You interested in trying it, Steven?
Sure.
Okay. The last test for today. This is an older sample, but it's still a Kagoshima tea. I'm just curious to see if it would taste good with this water. How much water do we have, Steven, left of that bottle from
Which
Kagoshima?
one? This one?
Mm-hmm. Fair amount. Okay. Do you mind if you brew just like 100 grams for me? 100 ml of water? Or should we just bowl brew it? What do you think? 100 ml is fine. I just want to test it out. The last thing we're going to do today is I want to try out what I have of Kagoshima sencha. It's not a shinsha. This is like 2 years old now. 3 years old. It's an old sencha. But I want to see if this is going to taste good with the Kirishima water, the Kagoshima water. Just for funsies before we end. And then agendas are I need to find someone who can maybe like figure out how we can get some water from LA to here. And then
Road trip.
start I know, me and Steven were like, I finished school on like Friday. Maybe we can go back. I can go down on like Thursday evening, come back on like Friday evening, do some tests before Saturday, and then be done. That's so ridiculous. It's gonna be so expensive though with gas right now. I have a really fuel efficient car, but like gas right now is ridiculous, especially Cali. Man, seeing like $9 per gallon in Cali or something like that. It's super ridiculous. Speaking of which, hi Leo, how's it going? Treasure, Peril, and Shiloh, nice to see you. We're just moving through these water samples today. We'll do one more test, and that's the Kagoshima water with a Kagoshima tea. This is Midori single cultivar sencha. It's a little older, but I just want to see, get to say like, oh, we're brewing the same area's water with that same area's tea, more or less. So yeah. Oh, Kayla, nice to see you too. How was your trip? I don't want to get too specific about where you went if you're not wanting to share. Nice water up there, though. Amazing water. Okay. So instead of doing 2.5, I'm going to use 1 gram. Huh?
150 ml.
150 ml? Okay, so that's 1.5 grams that we'll brew. Then one more kind of survey I wanted to do is let me know what you guys prefer to taste in your shincha. I keep asking this, or sencha in general. Whenever I can grab someone, I'm like, what do you like in Japanese green tea? What flavor notes do you prefer to show up? Just because Japanese green tea is so... It's very dynamic, right? It changes a lot with water, brewing temperature, style. More than I think a lot of other teas. And some people prefer the really rich, really like in-your-face, like bomb-like umami. And then some people prefer just more like, I want it to be fresh and kind of like tasting like the tea fields. And whatever we make for this recipe, I kind of want to appeal more to someone who is really, really into Japanese green tea, which I like Japanese green tea, but I don't drink it nonstop. I think this is gonna be like a love letter to our friends in the Japanese tea world to like really lean into what is the prevalent preference for those teas. Thanks for doing that. All right. Smells good. I'm glad your trip was good, Akila, by the way. And yeah, the water is great up there. So, fresh corn sweetness in Japanese green teas. I personally love when the Japanese green tea tastes like honeydew. So blown away by an asatsuyu from Kagoshima I got a couple years ago. That's some of my favorite Japanese tea experiences ever. I'm not a really huge umami bomb person, but I can appreciate it. So I'm hoping to kind of lean in a little bit more to that realm. I don't think I'll like betray myself and just go all the way umami bomb, but I can tell you how to do it. I can show you how to do it. We know how to make water that will make your umami bomb tea even more like an umami bomb. It's really fun to do that sometimes for us. Dino saying, I'll be traveling to Korea soon. We'll be curious to taste their water. Yeah, when we went to the store today, we actually found Korean water. But I'm like, we can't say that's Japanese water. That's Korea. Let's not do that. It was a Jeju Island, I think volcanic water that we saw. So we didn't pick it up. It was also in like tiny plastic bottles, so my thing is kind of like, if I'm going to use plastic, I want to use it as little as possible. So if I can get like a bigger liter amount of that water, maybe I'll buy it someday, but it was in like these tiny plastic bottles and like a dozen of them, so I wasn't really into it. Ooh. Interesting. Wow, I feel like this water came to life for this tea, Steven. Try it. Wow. I'm a little stunned. We've had some like kind of just like okay-ish results today. And then suddenly this is my favorite sip of the day. Note that this tea is a little darker because it is quite old, but this is a shaded Kagoshima sencha. And we know it quite well. I think it's delicious in that water. My god. It just makes sense very, very well. Pressure. Fellow saying it's a hit or miss with Jeju Island teas. When you find a good one, though, it is to be cherished. Yeah, I feel that. I honestly have this thing of like someone says, oh, it's a Jeju Island tea. I'm a little nervous about it, but it is interesting, the idea of getting one that's really, really good. We're talking about this area in Korea now, south of Korea. It's an island that's really, really well known for tea production. But of all the areas in Korea, I personally am interested in the way it contrasts with the rest of Korea because Jeju Island's industry, from what I understand, is it looks a lot like it's like a Japanese tea production kind of style, whereas the rest of Korea, not to make too many broad generalizations, but to be very, very general about it, the rest of Korea is more kind of like not as Jeju Island. It's a little bit different. More kind of smaller farms and seed-grown tea plants, a little bit more diversity in the landscape, pan-fried teas, etc. Pretty much, right? Thoughts?
It's good.
I think it works really, really well. So this is just a reminder that once we get those Shincha tomorrow, the other ones, I'm getting a couple more like Yakushima Island Shincha. I think I have a Shizuoka one coming in, another one. We will test out these same waters with those new Shinchas just to make sure that we're not putting all our eggs in one basket with that water. Pretty much. Happy with that. It works really, really well with that kind of like very smooth Kagoshima taste. Smooth, thick, very easily enjoyable Kagoshima taste. So yeah, any questions? I think we're pretty much done for today. Steven and I will use the rest of our time probably going down our list of Japanese waters. We still have a couple more from Uji and then the Greater Kyoto. We can kind of like compare the Kagoshima profile we have to the Kagoshima water we have to see how close it is. And then we'll also try to recreate the water we have with our food grade salts, just to make sure that when we do taste them side by side, it is close enough to say that we're recreating it. And then from there, the final formula will not just be a copy of the water we like. We will test out to see if we can make some kind of adjustments. Just because, I mean, we're going to have some preferences, right? Most likely, I'm probably going to land on 2 waters that we like, find something in the middle, recreate that. So it's going to be its own unique water that ends up in this new water recipe. And I think at this point, we're pretty convinced it's going to be a Japanese green tea recipe. 3 days ago, we're like, is it also good for Darjeeling or Chinese green tea? I want it to be incidentally good for those teas too, but we will lean in all the way to the Japanese green tea profile, I think, which is exciting. Okay, any questions? Let me know. If you have any interest in this ion calculator, we call it an ion calculator. Once you start working with water a little bit more formally, we don't call them minerals anymore, we call them ions, but ions meaning like a charged element, but it's all the same things. If you look at the back of a water bottle, minerals, ions, salts, electrolytes, more or less the same thing. So much jargon. But I'm always happy to help if you have any questions. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for kind of like moving with the punches with us. And I'm serious, if you know anyone from LA who's coming to Vegas in the next week, let us know. Ask your LA friends. I am serious. I'm going to try to manifest this. Ask them if they want to go to Uwajimaya and be weird and get like 5 different waters and come here. And I will give them whatever they want. You want tea? You want like really good like Chinatown like Rex? You want me to like drive you around Chinatown and eat like delicious like Chinatown food? You want to go have like a Filipino meal? We'll do it. So just let me know. So thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. Have a good Sunday. Bye.